So, who is James Altucher and why should we listen to him when he tells us to choose ourselves? Well, he's a serial entrepreneur who's seen success and earth-shattering despair in equal measure. In 2002, he thought he was going to die, in his own words. He'd made a staggering amount of money selling his stock-picking website just as the tech bubble was in full swell. Then he squandered it all by making a series of unsound lifestyle choices. Did he learn? Not at first. Not at second, or at third. After multiple ups and downs, he finally picked himself up and started to choose himself, after which he wrote the book I have in my hand. He's experienced the entire spectrum of triumph and defeat, every instance of which was of his own making. So you could say he knows a thing or two about making choices, and what better final choice to make than yourself? So how does he propose we do this? In a nutshell, he's a proponent of keeping 4 pillars of health intact: the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. For physical health, we just need to sweat a good 10 to 20 minutes a day. It's one of the easier ones to send down the river, though, and somehow we tend to think that making lofty goals is the solution. But willpower is hard to come by, so why waste it on something unsustainable? What we have to remember is that if we let any one pillar flag, then the others have to do all the heavy lifting, and they'll make themselves heard when the load becomes unbearable. So just keep doing that sport you love, or go for a lunchtime walk. The emotional pillar is kept happy quite simply by doing things we like and eliminating things we don't. Duh, right? But do you actually live this seemingly obvious mantra? Altucher, for example, doesn't go to weddings. He doesn't like them. The people you spend time with are just as crucial. We're always complaining, oh, I'm so busy. Yet so many of us still make space and time for people who drain us. Spending time with someone only to moan about them afterwards kind of makes you an ass. I was once an ass. So I told the person who triggered this behavior in me that I wanted out, and we're both better off. And I'm a little less of an ass as a result. I also stopped going for lunch with colleagues. I mean, all we had in common was the job, and I didn't like my job. So instead, I read, or ran, or did what I'm about to mention under the mental pillar. For true mental health, Altucher encourages you to become an idea machine, to make your brain sweat. Write 10 ideas a day. The idea muscle atrophies when you don't use it. Pick a theme. Here's a starting point for tomorrow. Write down 10 ideas for an Ignite talk, and then drop Mickey an email. And then the following day, write down 10 business ideas, and the first step you'd need to take to realize them. In a year, you'll have 3,500 ideas. And as your muscle strengthens, so will your ideas. And who cares if some of them are really terrible? Nobody said you have to show them to anyone. They might make you cringe, but 1 or 2 could change your life. On to the last pillar, the spiritual one, which I find the hardest to maintain. But it's in the difficulty that I feel its importance, because when I do take those much-needed 10 minutes to switch off, I feel so much better off. So, how has all this advice helped me in real terms? When I quit my day job to pursue my own money-making activities, I also walked away from a relationship with a wonderful man who quite simply belonged with someone else. The anxiety attacks, though, didn't take too long to come knocking. My spiritual, emotional, and mental health were in the gutter. So much so that I ended up with a migraine, the flu, swollen glands, and vomiting bouts, all at once for 3 weeks. I like to think of that time as the exorcism of all the neglect I had put myself through. Since walking away from these external pillars that I'd mistakenly thought were holding my life together, I've managed to focus on these internal pillars with a significant amount of help from this book. I've now set up a life in which I don't rely on others to choose me. I used to polish my CV and hope that some middle manager would make me their choice and spend my time and talents in a way that they saw fit. And now I work as an English teacher, translator, and fledgling entrepreneur. I enjoy all 3 areas of my work, and I amplify whichever one works best for me at any given time. Diversifying my income, another point that Altucher advocates, has left me far less dependent on any one person or industry to determine my financial well-being. Equipping yourself with options is another way of choosing yourself, a surefire way to keep your 4 pillars in check on your own terms. And let's not forget that job security is somewhat of a modern-day myth. Don't let the future pull the rug out from under your feet. If you want to know more about my slightly unconventional income streams or the business ideas my daily practice has furnished me with, then come and give me a poke later, as long as I still have a voice. Thank you.